All right. Seems like we've got people in the live. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to wait. We're definitely going to wait for others to join us, but really nice to see you guys, and appreciate you being here. Hope you like my setup. This is my normal. This is where I work. This is definitely hey Andy, how are you? Um, Rick, thank you for joining us. So this is my setup. This is where I do most of my work. So I figured why not just let you in on that secret. It's very chill area on my front porch. So figured why not let you see the real me. So yeah, thank you. We've got 2 people now, and more coming in. All right, we'll wait for a few more. But it was really wild putting out that that message that I was going to be doing this live. It went off the rails. I couldn't believe the amount of response, not only on TikTok but on Instagram, and different notes being sent to me. So didn't expect that. But I guess we've caused a little bit of controversy. So yeah, it was really nice to see. So I'm hoping that not only do I get some people, not only from my group, but other groups, those that even aren't even in the group, and even some estranged adult sons and daughters, so that they can share their insights too, and hopefully remain nice in the conversation. But that's the hope. The point of this all really is to address some of the prevalent issues that are going on in this space. That's what it's all about. And maybe possibly learn from each other, and maybe help each other to get to a place of understanding. That's the point of this. And I also see so much content out there from creators that are doing the exact opposite. So much content from creators that aren't promoting a healing way, but rather keeping estranged parents and even some estranged adult sons and daughters in their grief. And so I've always wanted to be a little bit different in this. I mean, certainly when I first came out, I was grieving, really hurting, in shock. So I came out with a bang. But as I said in the video, I'm in a very, very different place. And with the help of the group and with help of all the things that I've been doing to heal myself, I am healed. I am whole and I am happy. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to help parents especially get to that same place. But I also wanted to address some of the larger issues. I also wanted to share some insights and truly see where myself and even Andy, the administrator on my meta group, Doormat Mom No More, see where we can help more. And so that's the premise of this. So there's not going to be a formal way of going about this. However, today I'm going to address 3 different issues, but I'm going to begin with something that caused me to want to do this. It was something written by a dad in my group, and it impacted me, and truly touched me, and certainly reminded me of my original video with regards to where did gratitude go? Where did gratitude go for parents? Where did it go? Where did obligation go to families? Not earned obligation, just general. You born to a family, you hold an obligation. Where did they go? It's a great question posed by this father. And so I wanted to read you what he wrote. It's a little bit long, but I encourage you to stay with it because it has some meaningful points for both sides to ponder. Let me begin by saying one thing though. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a mental health professional. I'm just a mom who got put in a position that she hadn't expected and learned from her experience on how to get out of it. So take all of my words at your will, apply them at your will, and if you come back and they've worked for you, that's great. But let me just be clear. I'm just, I'm not a mental health professional um, or a therapist. So, but let me begin because I want to read this. It's such a beautiful piece. All right, here we go. The death of gratitude and family duty. Stick with me. You're going to love this. There was a time when gratitude was considered a virtue. Not indebtedness, not blind obedience, just simple gratitude. And understanding that no parent is perfect, but that love, sacrifice, and years of devotion count for something. Today, I sometimes wonder if gratitude is becoming a forgotten value. I look around and see adult children who can recite every disappointment from their childhood in perfect detail, yet struggle to acknowledge the thousands of sacrifices made on their behalf. The sleepless nights, the overtime hours, the dreams parents quietly put aside, the worries they carried alone, the meals they skipped, the bills they somehow found a way to pay, the tears they hid behind closed doors. Parents did these things not because they expected applause. They did them because that is what mothers and fathers do. And yet somehow, somewhere along the way, from childhood to adulthood, many parents are left wondering, did any of it matter? Because gratitude has increasingly been replaced with entitlement. Instead of thank you for what you did, we hear you should have done more. Instead of I know you made mistakes, but I know you loved me, we hear you weren't perfect, therefore you failed me. And perhaps that is one of the greatest tragedies of our time. Not that parents are imperfect, but that imperfection has become unforgivable. I was raised to understand that my parents were flawed people. They had strengths, they had weaknesses. They made mistakes, but I never expected them to be superheroes. Today, I see adult children holding parents to standards they do not even hold themselves to, demanding endless patience while showing very little, demanding understanding while refusing to give it, demanding apologies while offering none, demanding grace while extending none. That is not maturity. That is emotional immaturity, disguised as moral certainty. Family duty is another phrase that seems to have disappeared. I know that word makes some people uncomfortable. But I believe family comes with obligations, not blind loyalty, not tolerating abuse, but effort, respect, communication, a willingness to work through difficulties rather than run from them. A recognition that people who spent decades loving you should not be discarded casually. Yes, I see a culture increasingly celebrating the exact opposite. Walking away is praised, cutting ties is applauded, estrangement is framed as empowerment, and rarely do people ask, what about loyalty? What about forgiveness? What about gratitude? What about honoring the people who stood by you long before the world ever knew your name? No parent deserves worship, but neither do parents deserve to have decades of sacrifice erased because they were imperfect human beings. I know I made mistakes. Every parent does. But I also know this: I loved fiercely, I sacrificed willingly, I showed up repeatedly, and I refuse to believe that that counts for nothing. I fear many adult children have been taught to focus so intensely on what they lacked that they become blind to what they were given. And when gratitude disappears, relationships slowly become transactional. Love becomes conditional, family becomes optional, and eventually people wake up surrounded by freedom, yet strangely alone. Because independence is not the same as wisdom, and protecting your peace is not always the same as protecting your heart. Some lessons take decades to learn. One of them is this: the people who loved you imperfectly may have loved you more deeply than you ever realized. And by the time you understand that, you may no longer be there to tell, they may no longer be there to tell you so. A father's question: have you raised a generation that remembers every disappointment they experienced, but has forgotten the sacrifices that made their lives possible? And if gratitude disappears from families, what takes its place? Two great questions. What takes its place? A world without true bonds, true bonds that rival any other bond that could come going forward. The family bond, by definition, by just being born, it's survival. I think you can survive with basically every other person in the world. You can figure out how to, because there'll always be another person that steps up, but there will never be a mother, a father, a brother, a sister that steps up like those in your family. If you come from a good family, some don't. But if you have a good family, why would you throw that safety net away? And why would you throw the love of a parent away? That's irreplaceable if you have a good parent. We do live in a world. This father is right. We live in a world that so easily casts aside the most important survival mechanism, if you want to just reduce it to that, but it's so much more. We have taught our kids, or this culture has taught our kids, that family can be easily replaced. You can just pick someone off the street, become their friends, and by day 10 they can be your new brother or sister. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. It's the ups and downs, the highs and lows, the good times and bad times that make a family. It's even the bad times that you get through together. That that the parent teaches you something about themselves. Maybe you didn't understand. When you don't have obligation towards a family, when you cast it aside because it's not easy, it's hard. It's hard work. It's intrusive. I want to go off. I want to live my life. I don't want to look back and take care of the person that fed me, clothed me. Miss the meals. I don't know one parent that hasn't missed a meal for their kid. Right? I don't know one parent that didn't have sleepless nights. I don't know one parent that any outside person can replace. Maybe it's easy for a strange adult sons and daughters to think that they're replaceable, but time will teach you. I hope so, actually. Time will teach you. Because if time doesn't teach you, then either this world is in really bad shape or you are in much worse shape than you even realize. So, hi, Linda. I'll have a second, both the dream personally, but also for my children that has fallen for such destructive family relationships. Yeah, the kids are really falling for it. They have been truly brainwashed in so many ways. They really have. I feel sorry for them in so many ways because they grew up in this world that twisted them, twisted them. And they twisted them in thinking that they knew better than us what was going on. They still think they know better than us what was going on. When we can see it, just because the reality of where we are in our experiences, where we are in our age. We've lived so much life, and how many years we've lived so much life being on this planet. And for many of us, being a parent is the most important thing in our lives. Why do you think? Why do they think that we sacrificed? Why do they think that, that the sacrifices that this father is talking about isn't just, I know they want to hear it that way. I know they've been told this, like, you did the minimum. I had someone today say something to me. I had to actually block this person because he was so vicious to me. He's like, you, and there's a lot of projection that happens when you get these comments, right? And I felt sorry for this person because, obviously he's either parents were really bad or he just really is in a bad way. But, all the sacrifices that we made, we did not have to make them. We could have not done it. We could have been selfish. They're not just, you did the bare minimum. No, we didn't. And don't assume you know what we did. You were not, traveling. You didn't have to fly in the wall traveling with me and seeing everything that we did. Right? So to say we did the bare minimum, they're taught this. No, we did not do the bare minimum. Many of us did the absolute maximum. And then we went further. Right? So, I know for myself, I couldn't have done any more. There was no more I could have done. There was absolutely no more I could have done. Between just the physical sacrifices, the financial sacrifices, the emotional, not sacrifices, the joys of being a parent, but also, not every bad moment comes at a good time for a parent. Sometimes bad moments come when the parent's literally on their last leg that day and they have to figure it out. Right? That's not the bare minimum. So I'm tired of parents being told they did the bare minimum. No, I don't know anyone, in my meta group or anyone that I've come to know in this space, because they wouldn't be in this space if they weren't hurting. The ones that aren't hurting, they don't care. They're not going to occupy this space. They don't even realize they did anything wrong in so many cases. But if you care to be here and you care to be on this live, or you care to be in a Facebook group or mine or any others that are in this space, you care. That's just something. You're hurting, and it says something. And and to be denied that, is it's a slap in the face to so many great parents that did everything they could. Right? So it's stunning to me. So yeah, they've been twisted, and the pain that these parents have felt because of it. Yes, do parents make a mistake? This dad said, yeah, parents make a mistake. He admitted he made mistakes. We all make mistakes. How could we not make mistakes? Let's get real. Of course we made mistakes. And many of us, most of us, admit that the best we could do, whether we did it then or a year later or a further time, hi, Melissa, we apologize for them. Yeah, there's, and there you have it. We apologize for them. We apologized again. We apologized again. And like Melissa just said, no reason given in many cases. No reason given. No reason given. We just have to live with it. And it's just, no reason given to me. No reason given to me. Which was, sitting there shocked, that I wasn't invited to the wedding after, I had agreed to, do things for the wedding on top of it. And then all of a sudden I can't come. So no reason given. And that's the striking thing is, many of us, we get accused of not having, the communication, that we didn't communicate. We didn't listen. We didn't listen. We didn't listen. No, we listened. We listened. We listened as hard as we could. We listened as much as we could. We listened till, we could possibly not listen anymore. And then we listened again. We listened. I think, in this our situation and many in this world today, I think we have robbed our children of actually being able to communicate well. So I think that's one side. That doesn't mean that we always got it right when we did listen. But that doesn't mean we always got it wrong either. And that doesn't mean because we come from a certain generation, we never listened or we never understood. Or that's a whole other cop out, right? You boomer, Gen X, baby boomer. Give me a break. There were good parents in all these generations and bad ones too. So just like there are bad ones in this generation, and Gen Z and millennials and, bad parents there too. So, I saw one today. I have to say, I was shocked when I saw this video. It was a young woman who's denying her child the right to see the child's grandmother. And she went on, posted a video where she was opening up the birthday card that the grandmother sent to the grandchild. Put a little Target card inside, said happy birthday, and she went on this video and chastised the grandmother for one, setting a repeat Target card because she hadn't used the one that the grandmother sent her last year even. And that she sent her the card, and because she already told her that she didn't want anything to do with her, and she doesn't want her son. And she said, well, the husband can, see her, but her son, that's not her son only. That's his son too. That's his son too. And she's blaming the grandmother for sending a card, for taking that extra step and sending the card. And she went on air to dress down the grandmother for doing it. That's a kind person for you, huh? She's getting it right, isn't she? And you say to yourself, who would do that? Who would do that? Well, I don't know. You answer me that. I'm going to bring up three, probably of the biggest challenges that I see estranged parents dealing with right now in this community. And I was shocked when I read these situations, and I'm going to share my opinion on what I would do. And then I'd actually, if there are any opinions that what you would do, type them in the chat, okay? Because they're wild. I'm not going to read them verbatim because I want to respect the privacy of the people. But I'm gonna pull them up and I'm gonna summarize them. So hang on with me. I have them here. I call this whole episode, by the way, Baby, Mommy, and Daddy, because these are the scenarios that that I'm bringing up. So hang on. I don't remember. All right. So here's the situation. Okay. The daughter has been estranged from her mom for a number of years, right? She goes and out of, the blue, she calls the mom. Mom picks up, finds out she has a grandchild. She has a grandchild, just born. After years of not hearing from her daughter, she has a grandchild, and she wants her mom to know, the grandmother to know. So the grandmother's sitting there, and you can imagine yourself on this phone call, right? Like, let's imagine ourselves on this phone call. I haven't heard from you for a number of years. you have a grandchild. I didn't even get to experience the pregnancy with you. Like I would have liked to support you in your pregnancy, right? I didn't get to experience that. And okay, water under the bridge. I wish I would have been able to be there for you. But okay, I wasn't. So let's try to just sit here and listen to this phone conversation. And the daughter is telling about her new grandchild. And it seems at the end of the conversation, the door is left open for a new relationship, right? So the grandmother hangs up, and now she's thinking, right? Like I would be thinking, right? You would be thinking, what do I do? What do I do? Because, mind you, this was not the first estrangement. So the woman is sitting there saying, I'm sitting there. I could be sitting on a new landmine. I don't know what to do. I don't know to send a gift. I don't know not to send a gift. I don't know. I didn't even know where to send the gift because they've kept where they live in under wraps. So I didn't even know where they live. I'd like to send a card. I don't know. I'd like to be able to see my granddaughter or my grandchild. I don't know. What do I do? And that's the quandary that so many grandparents have. Like, and even parents, they don't want to go through another potential estrangement given the history. But two, they don't want to go through an estrangement and then have down the road have their grandchild then, because that sets them up for an even deeper heartache, right? So there were many responses to this. There were many, many comments like, how do you handle it? Some say, and then the grandmother's saying, well, maybe I should just, when I don't know what to do nothing. And of course that set off a flurry of comments, right? A lot of comments in the Facebook group on this. Do nothing. Well, I don't know if I would do that. Because one, I would be grateful that she did call me and tell me. I could have not found out. I could have found out through Facebook. Could have found out on Instagram. I could have found out some other way. And now maybe, and I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, maybe she's realized that, hey, I would really like my mom, in my life as a grandparent. Maybe it's just is a new beginning, be able to have a new beginning between. I would like to be able to think that. I would like to be able to say that. Maybe she's thinking of, because people do grow, right? I think that's one of the things in this space that really is tragic, that we never give people space, or we never give people, because, in many cases you've been so hurt that you think that everybody in the space can't grow. Even some of the mental health professionals out there that have been not giving the best of advice, I believe, but or giving advice that could be maybe because of all the hullabaloo that we made, they're changing direction. Some for not the best reasons, but others maybe they're growing. Who knows? I'd like to give them benefit out. But so what would I do? What would I do? Well, I would say I would text my daughter after that. And I would say, I really appreciate the call and you telling me this. I'm so excited for you guys. I would like to do something, whether it be send a card, send a gift. I'd like to eventually, but you need to tell me what you want, what is right for me to do in this situation. Because I would like to rebuild a healthy relationship and be part of your child's life, but also your life. But you have to tell me what to do. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Leave it in their hands. Because then it's, I tried. And I don't think I would feel right in just like radio silence after she reached out. I don't think I would. Now, if it goes, she comes back and says, yeah, maybe, a gift would be fine or not, or card fine or not, or, maybe when we settle in, you can come see the baby, whatever it is, right? But you give them the option to tell you, right? That's my opinion. That's what I would do because she made the effort. Could it end up in a bad way again? Yeah, it could. It could. But then I worry about that down the road. If, in fact, I think, because of the change in circumstances and motherhood is on the horizon, we'll see how she does and, or is at the horizon. See how she does, right? See how she does. See that, some of her thinking doesn't change a little bit. So that's what I do. So that's the first thing. That's the first scenario. If you guys have any comments, questions, any criticism, please put it in the chat. Love to see it. Okay. The next situation was, let's see, having conversations seems like the logical choice. However, in our cases, none of our EC want to own up to their mistakes. They want to give stipulations which favor them and belittle us. Well, okay, so that's a good point. That's a good point. Favor them, stipulations. I think there's a difference between, okay, let me say it this way. I think parents have a right to say what they want when it comes to their children. But they never have a right to belittle you. Never have a right, that your kids, right? Never have a right to belittle you. And nor should you ever allow belittling to happen to yourself. Because one, it's not good for you, right? And two, that precedent will only dribble over to the your grandkids. When they see it, they'll treat you the same way. So yeah, you're right. There are stipulations. They will give stipulations. And if you can live with those stipulations, that's one thing. Which is different than I think when a parent comes by and says, listen, could you like not feed my kid, a cookie like 5 minutes before dinner because then he definitely won't eat. If that's really the case, the kid's not going to eat. And the parent says, yeah, could you not do it? Okay. That's a stipulation. But that's a reasonable one. So I think if this is reasonable, that's one thing. But I understand what you're saying. A lot of times they're not. And that's where all this controversy about, parents being involved, not being involved, thing. Bad grandparents were the worst in the world, which brings me to another point. Okay, here's another one. So, son is a dad, an older dad, and the son, well, not older, he's in his 30s, probably about 30, 45. Married, has kids, angry, goes on what seems to be a drunken tirade towards his mom. Um, dresses her down really, really hard. And she sits there. She doesn't know what to do. You know, and on top of it, calls her a horrible grandmother because she refuses, or she didn't babysit every time he asked, is how it was presented. She doesn't remember. So now the question is, well, if you don't do it my way, the son said, if you don't do it my way, it's the highway, and you won't be involved in your grandkids' lives. So what do? She doesn't know what to do, because he's saying, I get to say anything I want to you, including belittle you, and you just have to take it. And if that doesn't work for you, then you can't be in my child's lives. I'm sorry, that's a horrible son. That's a horrible son. Do. There was another split on that. Like, what weight kid around? Can you have a relationship with the grandchildren outside of them? Nope. Father puts his foot down. That's not happening. My way or the highway. Ooh. What do? Well, you have to make a decision there, right? You have to make a decision. Like, are you going to stick around? Are you going to stick around and allow your son to belittle you in front of the I really have a relationship with them? In that case, again, I wouldn't stick around. I'm sorry. I'd try to reach out to them later, but I would absolutely tell my son, that's not good for me. You're not going to treat me that way. And if it means I have to not be in your children's lives, so be it. Because the reality is, if I stay there, I'm going to be accepting the road to my grandchildren belittling me too, and feeling that that's okay. So no, that doesn't work for me. That does not work for me. Other people were saying, well, do the best you can to take what you can, do the best you can in the circumstances, and you just maintain the relationship with them, with the grandkids. Personally, I don't think that's the best way. That's what I say. Now, we're getting a comment. You don't get to decide what stipulations are reasonable for being around another person's child. You aren't the parent. No, that's true. Okay, let's do this. That there's stipulations. As I said, there's stipulations and there's stipulations, right? So if the stipulation is I get to belittle you in front of the child, or the stipulation is, there's a difference between that stipulation and the stipulation being, as I said, you can't give my child a cookie 5 minutes before they're ready to eat because they won't eat. I mean, it's really not that hard. I don't understand why this is so hard, right? I really don't understand that. John, why is it so hard? Honestly. Parents, if you say things to them like, look, do me a favor, don't do this, or do me a favor. Most parents, grandparents, don't want to hurt the child. They don't want to screw up the schedule. They don't want to not babysit. They don't, they also have lives, mind you. Remember the babysitting thing. They still have lives. All right. They don't automatically become servants. But most parents, for that I know within my, so they're not going to absolutely say absolutely not. And if they do, like, we're not listening to you at all. We want to screw up your kid. We want to make it hard for you. And then you get them back. No, no, I'm not saying that. Don't give me that. That's not happening. Okay, I get that. Well, I honestly, John, really, I think most parents, unless you have parents that are, or your parents, or there will be parents that just, railroad or run over you. Absolutely, there will be some, but I don't think that's most parents. I don't think the grandparents really want to do that. I really think they just want to have some time with their grandkids. They want to spoil them. They want to spoil them. That's, by the way, that's really where that cookie is coming from, right? We just want to spoil them. We have a mean comment, so I'm going to highlight it. You should start doing sleep streams. Rob, that was clever. Thank you. I'll keep that in mind. And we don't do mean here, Rob. Either add something interesting to the conversation or get off the live. Because I welcome everybody here. Welcome everyone in the conversation, in any conversation. Because the reality is, that's how we get better at being ourselves. That's how we learn at being ourselves or a person by just being mean, saying some nonsense. That's nonsense. So get off the live if that's all you're here for. Okay. So, John, I like you. You're good. You're adding good things to this conversation. Okay. Let's do the last one. Okay. The daughter-in-law situation, right? Son gets married. He's married for a little over a year. Now, the son is having an issue with his parents because the daughter-in-law is having an issue with the parents. Whatever that issue is, they don't know. They do not know. And they've tried to address it. Nothing's coming out. Nothing's happening. Yeah, no, the sleep stream was long to fall asleep to because he's doing that to tell me that I'm boring. So yeah, John, it is, but okay. We'll leave that one alone. So apparently, so the son is trying to communicate with his parents, and the daughter-in-law does not want this relationship to continue. Doesn't want the parent relationship to continue. It's obvious, right? This is what it comes across in the conversation. So, now the in-laws find out that through a sibling that the son is having marital problems because the daughter-in-law does not want him to have a relationship with the parents, and because he's trying to communicate, they're having marital problems. And in fact, there was supposed to be some sort of dinner within the next month that they were all going to get together, and that's been canceled. So, given nothing has gone on, and I'm getting the impression that there wasn't, or at least whatever did go on isn't being understood, and there's no conversation forthcoming to explain it, right? Now that the dinner has been canceled, what do you do as a parent who wants to have a relationship with their son, and actually with the daughter-in-law, wants to have a happy, and you don't know what to do? Because if your son is having marital problems and it's because of you, well, you don't want your son to have marital problems, obviously, but you also don't want to not have a relationship with your son. So what do? Right? You don't want to get in the middle of their marriage. Of course you don't. You want your son to be happy. You just would like to have a relationship with him. Some sort of relationship. But you don't want him, if in having the relationship with him to destroy his marriage. But you know what? You have to look at this. That's not destroying his marriage. That's not destroying his marriage. Sleep streams. Yeah, again, I still stand by my my belief. So, John, you don't have to leave. I get it. I still don't. I don't think that what he said is it was we can have different opinions. You can stay. No one needs to show themselves out. This is great. You see this? Okay. So John feels like he needs to show himself out because he's explaining to me that sleep streams are popular, and they even run donations during them. Yeah, I don't get that this was meant for that, but I appreciate that. But you see what automatically happened? He puts at the end of his comment, I'll show myself out. I'll see myself out. Why would you see yourself out? Who told you to leave? Because you think there's some sort of issue going on here? Why don't you just stick around? This is that I don't get about this generation. I'm assuming you're that generation. Like, you don't have to leave. I don't think it was meant to be nice. You're saying it was. That's a difference of opinion. That the conversation does not need to shut down. That's the problem today. Getting back to this scenario. So, it's not seeing the son or the son seeing his parents that's going to destroy that marriage. It's someone trying to control one spouse trying to control another, and at the detriment of an important relationship because she has some sort of power to do so. Here's what I would do. If the son said to me, listen, I'm having issues, I have to, I have to deal with, this is my wife, either we can figure something out outside of her and have this relationship or not. And I need to figure this out. I would not do what you need to do in your marriage. I'm always here when you need me. That's what I would say. And I'd let them go into their marriage. Because undoubtedly, there's going to come a point between those two where this scenario, once lived once, will continue to cycle. And that marriage will be destroyed based on that. And you will have no hand in it. She can't point the finger at anyone but probably your son at that point. But it wouldn't be to herself. So unless something else is going on that's not being said in this situation, I would say that's would be the inevitable. It'd be hard not to see my son, but and he should, if nothing happened, and there can't be a mentoring of a peace, then he should stand up to her because he's sealing his fate too. But he may not for a while because they're newly married. The sad thing is they always find someone else to blame. Yeah. Instead of themselves. Yeah. That is the sad thing. They do. There's a lot of blame out there that's misdirected. And that is purposely directed away from them. You can't, you know what? And that's the thing. You can't break that cycle in them. They have to break it themselves. They have to see themselves in the mirror that they actually, have, that the reflection is true. And a lot of times they don't want to. It's always they push it off into someone else, right? And that's just delaying, actually, and actually inviting other issues into your own life by not doing that. We all own blame in certain things. I own blame too. I own blame in I have many, many kids. Again, no one's blameless, and growing up, raising kids. No one, no one's denying that they were perfect. No, but if you read on someone else, they're the problem. The minute they do that, the minute they're the heroes in every situation, they're the blameless, they're the this, that, they're the problem. All right, wait, because I explained what earnings without context in the comment in your actually refusal of fact means they're I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. Who's that? It could be a fact. This is crazy. I mean, there could be facts in this that the sleep streams are popular, but that's not what he meant it. In my opinion, okay, just my opinion. Rob should come back and explain to me what it is, and you can tell this whole thing. Rob, you there? Oh, that's what I'm thinking. Anyone else have any thoughts on any of those scenarios or any situations that they're dealing with me or in the group in the chat to consider? Anything? All right. Looks like not. So let me say a few things. And do you have any questions for me that you want to know about me? Because I know there are some things I will answer. There were some things I will not answer. All right. Like anything else, anybody else. All right. But I know, many of you do know me. Many of you don't know me. And you think you know me, but you don't know me. And so I welcome, if you want to get to know me, the real me, to ask the questions. I'm not frightened of questions. I always have the option to answer them or not. So, so there you go. I don't see anything coming up, so I think we're good there. Okay, so after this live, you're going to tell me whether or not this was good for you. This was fun for you. You want me to continue this with you. I would like to continue at least for a number of sessions to see how this, to see where we can help. If you are not a member of the Doormat Mom No More meta group and you want to be, go over and join. If you want to be a member of Contact, which is a fairly new group that has estranged parents and estranged adult sons and daughters speaking to each other, join Contact, right? If you've read the book, let me know in the comments. If you haven't read the book, let me get out of here. Doormat Mom No More, and you'd like to, go and purchase it. What else can I say? All right. Here's the other thing. I want to give you something that has really helped me. And it's an exercise. And this has really helped me to... we keep going. Thank you. Okay. All right. Oh, gosh. So anyway, listen. This is something that really helped me. And it took a while for me to get there to be able to use this, but exercise, but it really helped me, and I'm hoping that it helps you. If you're further along in your healing, and here's a trick that will help you control your thoughts, and it's so simple. It's something so simple, because a lot of times when when you're estranged, these thoughts, they especially come into your head, right? And you can't shake them, and then you're up all night. You can't shake them. You're up all night. You can't shake them, and something that someone said to me that was just so helpful is you can always choose a different thought. You have the power to choose a different thought, right? Now that struck me, because it made me realize that I was not exerting that power to choose a different thought. And that's what I needed to do. So now I do this. When something comes up in the middle of the night that's bothering me, whether it be this, something else, Um, I and I recognize that I keep ruminating over this thought and what it's doing to my mind, body, and soul, right? Because, does have an impact. I think that I visualize that thought as something, like a something, an entity. And then I visualize me putting it in a cage, closing the cage door, and locking it. And I keep the thought there for the moment. And then in the future, I think about that thought when I'm ready to think about it. And I go purposely and search out a nice thought, a good thought. And I think about that thought. Never occurred to me that I had given up my power to control my thoughts, because estrangement is so over encompassing. It consumes your thoughts. And before you know it, your mind is running wild. And by different thought and lock the other thought up. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do it. After your child goes estranged, or I'm not going to say even the first year, but as time goes on, try that exercise when you have more your feet underneath you. Yes, functional compartmentalization. Yes, exactly. So, all right. And the other thing, before I leave you, is this. I had another thought myself. Right? They say that pain is the seeds to growth, and I truly do believe that pain is the seeds to growth. If pain is the seeds to growth, your tears are what water the seeds. So, if you need to cry, and cry a lot in the beginning, especially, cry. There's no shame in it. Cry. Cry your eyes out. And sometimes you feel pressure and you don't even know what that is, and then all of a sudden tears well up. Cry then too. It's okay. It's okay. Crying is healing. And it can happen anytime in copious amounts at times, no matter if you're new to a stranger or something triggers you. Because healing is not denying it ever happened. Healing is not going out and being healed. Is not going out and saying, oh, here, I'm taking on the world. I don't care about that. Of course you care. Healing is realizing that sometimes, or being healed, you're going to feel sad. It consumes you. You have a life on your own. You're happy. You're whole. You're living. So, so if you need to cry your eyes out. It's okay. On that note, I think we're done. It's almost an hour. That went quickly. So thank you for coming to my first live. Hopefully I gave you something to think about. And end these streams, I'm going to end it by saying, I love you, baby bear. And I always will. See you next Monday. Let me know if you want me to pay you back.